thy paths. Edna, Jackson County, Texas, July 16, 1998. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. Perfect submission, perfect delight, visions of rapture now burst on my sight. Angels descending bring from above echoes of mercy, whispers of love. Perfect submission. I guess y'all know now I'm going to take my time. All is at rest. I in my Savior am happy and blessed. Watching, waiting, looking above, filled with his goodness, lost in his love. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. To our state convention president, Dr. J.S. Smith, first vice president, Dr. E.E. Thomas, executive secretary, Dr. A.S. Johnson, vice moderators, Wren, Mills, Young, and Flakes, and all other parent body officers, to all board chairmen, secretary treasurers, and all pastors of the association and those that share as guests, particularly Moderator Ramey and all others, Congress President White, his official staff, and all Congress workers, to all of our auxiliary presidents, officers, and workers, to Executive Youth Director McLean, his staff, Youth President Sandals, all youth convention officers, and all youth, to my most efficient staff, delegates, messengers, and friends, my good friend Douglas Matthews, and all other friends of the American Baptist Eastern District Association of Texas Incorporated. Greetings. We look back across the 128-year history of the Grand Old East. We look back with an unparalleled respect for the founding fathers, brethren who organized this association, planned far better than they knew. The acorn they planted stands today as an oak, having weathered many storms. We look back with fond memories and with a holy desire that those who come after us will not regret that we have passed this way. In memoriam, we pause today in remembrance of 4 of our fallen comrades. Sister Roshanique Rocky Edwards Malvo of the Pleasant Hill Church. Rocky grew up right here in the East. She was a young, vibrant, and joyful soul who will be greatly missed. Sister Evelyn Johnson of the Gospel Church, a faithful and dutiful saint. Sister Thelma Sanchez of the Greater Mount Gilead Church, Bible teacher for the senior women for as long as I can remember. And finally, Sister Mildred Smith, former musician for the senior women and widow of the late Pastor Lemuel Smith of the Coliseum Park Church. These women made long-lasting impressions in different ways on the East. They are gone, but certainly not forgotten, for they linger on in our hearts. May the work I've done speak for me. May the work I've done speak for me. When I'm resting in my grave, there is nothing that can be said. May the work I've done speak for me. May the life I live speak for me. May the life I live speak for me. When the best I try to live, my mistakes He will forgive. May the life I live speak for me. May the service I give speak for me. May the service I give speak for me when I've done the best I can and my friends don't understand. May the service I give speak for me. The work I've done, it seems so small. Sometimes it seems like nothing at all. But when I stand before my God, I want to hear Him say, well done. May the work I've done speak for me. Expressions of gratitude. God has been good. In fact, God is good. Let me begin by thanking again the Gospel Hill Church family, along with Pastor Young, for the wonderful entertainment on last year. I must also thank the Shiloh Church and Pastor Roberts for the gracious people that you've proven yourselves to be. As always, I am grateful for the love and support of the Point. You have been there so many times and in so many ways. For this, I am eternally grateful. Special thanks to Deacons Thompson, Clark, Robbins, and Collins, Brother Washington, and of course, Francois, the West Point Church, Deacons Barnes and Brooks, young brothers Gary, Dorset, Sampson, and Sammy Lee of the Shiloh Church, Brother Garrett, John, Bob, and Deacon Edwards of the Pleasant Hill Church, and many others for the extraordinary efforts that you have put forth. Words are inadequate to convey my deepest gratitude to Pastors Brown, Roberts, and White for standing with me. I must thank my entire family for accepting with grace, my absence rather, with grace and poise. It is a difficult task rearing 3 girls, but Eva fills in. And of course, Kerry handles Jackie and Carisha. And finally, thank you, Eastern District, each and every one of you who have prayed up, showed up, and paid up. Because of your supportive efforts, we are moving in a positive direction. Stewardship report. This year has been both an exciting and a strange year. Since we last gathered, many things have occurred. 1 million women marched on Washington, D.C. Congress passed a balanced budget. The world lost a princess. The Catholic Church lost a sainted mother. Byron Williams left Galveston after 17 years at the Live Oak Church. John Elway and the Denver Broncos finally won a Super Bowl. Your humble servant turned 35. El Nino made its mark. Bill Gates' Windows 98 crashed. Oprah won a lawsuit in Amarillo. Microsoft faces a lawsuit from the federal government. It's been a strange year. A white woman was executed with much fanfare, and a black woman with none. Israel celebrated the year of Jubilee. India and Pakistan tested nuclear weapons. Old Blue Eyes closed his eyes. And an innocent black man was dragged to his death here in our state. I tell you, it's been a year to remember. A year in review. We've continued to make great strides in our work. All of our meetings were very fruitful, and I was particularly pleased with the W.J. Gaskin Institute Board. We've always done our part at all levels of our work. There is a slow but steady progress with the work. The Eastern District is on the move. We have received into our fellowship 3 new churches, namely Straight Life of Houston, Pastor Charles Carter, New Bethel of Angleton, Pastor Stephen King, and St. Peter's Bible Way of Houston, Pastor J.B. Houston. There are also 4 or 5 other churches that have expressed an interest in uniting with us. God is good. The building. We have 12.52 beautiful acres of land. We have, to the glory of God, a 12,000 square foot building. Bless his holy name. Some things speak for themselves. For those who played the role of Sandbag, it's here. A dear mentor of mine once told me, let someone else argue with success. Thank you, President Smith. I've tried to live by those words. Though incomplete, all bills are paid. And we owe $88,000, no $100, $14.40 on our land and our property. And it will be paid off in less than 6 years. To God be the glory. Great things he has done. Certainly this ought be enough to encourage the slow and unconcerned to get with the program. I remind us that each church is requested to submit to my office $100 per month. The pastors and the district trustees $10 each. And every member of the Grand Old East just a mere $5. Such small amounts for such a great and noble cause. Please make a pledge today and honor it this year. The state of the East. Just look where the Lord has brought us. Allow me to share with you first our chore. The Eastern District is about churches on mission, creating an environment for missions and ministry. We are about cooperative programs accomplishing the objectives of both the association and each local church. Our goal is to help each church do a greater work for the kingdom through networking. We need each other, and God made us that way. We must depend upon and cooperate with one another. Our culture's preoccupation with individualism and independence must be replaced with the biblical concepts of interdependence and mutuality. That's our chore. Our challenge is inform. By inform, I mean communicate specifically what is happening and why. Seek a clear understanding of all plans and procedures. Inspire. Minister to and motivate persons. Inspired ministry is not about doing all the work yourself, but eliciting, combining, and guiding the many resources of the association. Involve. Share duties widely among, underscore this word, responsible persons. This requires giving major attention to equipping people to perform their tasks, delegating responsibility, and supporting, encouraging them as they do their jobs, and involving persons in making decisions which will affect the association. What is caused to happen will be multiplied through the efforts of others. Our commitment. A friend of mine uses for his church's mission statement, exalting the Christ, edifying the church, and enhancing the community. This, I think, may capsule our commitment as an association of churches. The association is not a church, but an association of churches. The Eastern District will only be as committed as is its constituency. We can be no more than who and what we are. The Eastern District is us, and we are the Eastern District. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right or wrong. Pretty or ugly. Effective or ineffective. We can commit ourselves to making it become the best, or we can drag our feet and complain about what it isn't. Be that as it may, we are the East. The ball is in our court. The buck stops here. The responsibility is ours. We are the East. We can either be a part of the solution or remain a part of the problem. We are the East. Moderators, directives. Permit me to make the following appointments. Earlier this year, I appointed Deacon Willie Foster as the moderator's personal usher. I would also like to add to my staff, and I thank God for them, Sister Geraldine Perry as program coordinator. She will be working with the vice moderator of auxiliary operations to help better coordinate our programs. I'm assigning Deacon J.L. Jones, who is chairman of our trustee board, to be the coordinator of our annual building fund day, which is the first Sunday in January. I am appointing Sister Alice Prince as coordinator of our table ministry. I offer Pastor Charles Carter as coordinator of our pastors conference. And finally, my staff and I will again coordinate the moderator's stay-at-home tea later in the fall. There are a couple of other things that I've added since my annual address was printed. You will not find it in a copy should you choose to pick up one when I finish. First of all, I am appointing Pastor Stephen King as the executive director of our youth convention. That was kind of weak. I know I ain't saying much, but that one was pretty good. I'm appointing Deacon Ralph Collier of the Straight Lights Church as our official photographer. I have directed my staff to make all hotel accommodations. This will enable us to better handle the housing arrangements. However, staff can only assist if you let them. This will necessitate making reservations in a timely manner and holding them with a one-night deposit. Too much unnecessary confusion arose this week over double reservations that were made. Please let us help you with your reservations. I'm back on the paper now. The Evangelical Board. Last year I requested the board to sponsor a simultaneous revival. I have since spoken with the Secretary-Treasurer, and he is formulating plans for the month of September. Remember, there is no way we can convenience everyone. However, you are encouraged to support this evangelistic effort as much as possible. The Home Mission Board. The board has been totally restructured to serve as our community development arm. We are, as you know, a 501c3 non-profit organization. Therefore, we have redirected the work of our Home Mission Board. The Eastern District intends to minister to the whole man. My very good friend, Brother Douglas W. Matthews, has consented to serve as the executive director. And I'm grateful to God for bringing such a qualified and capable brother into our midst. The Benevolent Board. One of the things which enables our counterparts to achieve financial stability is that when they die, they leave an inheritance for their families, their children, and or denominational movement. I'm therefore directing the board to look into a low-cost life insurance so that a person can be assured that their support for their church and association continues long after their homegoing. Pastor Brown, Pastor Roberts, and my good friend who's been with us all day long, Brother Roger Hope, are going to be presenting us some things in the near future. Stand up, Brother Hope. If you need some insurance, you need to see him. He can help you out. And he can fix you up real good, pastors, so your families can be cared for. Because you do know you gotta die. Amen. Foreign Mission Board, the time has come that we must not only attend to our Jerusalem and Judea, but we must in a tangible way reach out to Samaria and the uttermost part of the world. And I'll get back to that directly. The Congress. We had what may well have been our best Congress ever. I commend President White and the Congress team for a job well done, particularly under such adverse circumstances with the illness of Dean Deason. I do, however, want to urge us to better plan our work and then work our plan. To fail to plan is to plan to fail. The auxiliaries, I must thank all of our auxiliary leadership for embracing the vision. I have but two simple suggestions to offer to the auxiliary presidents. Schedule your work to begin before the end of this calendar year. If so, we may all accomplish our various programs without overcrowding the months between January and June. Finally, please utilize the expertise of my newest staff member, Sister Perry, in project management. This by no means lessens or undermines your authority as president. It is merely a tool to better coordinate and plan your programs. We all agree there is always room for improvement. Revisiting the vision. As I endeavor to revisit the vision, I'm keenly aware of the first and great responsibility of the visionary, which is to cause those who would follow him to see what he sees. Winston Churchill, in the midst of the darkest days of World War II, when London was lying in rubble, had a vision of victory. A battered nation that stood at the brink of defeat saw his vision and fought on to victory. When Martin Luther King Jr., in one of his most memorable and stirring speeches, said, like most of us, I'd like to live a long time, but that don't bother me now, because I've been to the mountaintop, and mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And oppressed and beleaguered people saw his vision of equality and found the courage to persevere. There must be an instilling of the vision from the visionary to those who would follow. Now, the difficulty that arises with seeing a vision is that it is not done with the natural eye. You have to be able to see with the eyes of the heart. The Hebrew writer gives us a good example of this in chapter 2, verses 8 and 9, when he writes, God has put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection to him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we're not yet all things put under him, but we see Jesus. Now, at the writing of this book, Jesus has been in heaven for over 50 years. It's plain to see to me that he cannot be seen at this time with the natural eye. But somehow the writer has caught God's vision for the world through Jesus Christ. He writes of Jesus, he was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he by the grace of God should taste death for every man. Now, you can't see that with your natural eye. In fact, to catch this vision, you have to disengage natural sight, because to the natural eye, this looks impossible. 2 years ago, I shared with you the vision. At that time, I visualized the development of these grounds here in Edna in at least 3 phases. A fully operational encampment building. The development of outdoor camping facilities such as a fishing pond, basketball pavilion, and a baseball diamond. The third phase was the building of dormitories, as well as other necessary meeting and or recreational facilities. Today, I do not change the vision. I merely like God with Abraham, I revisit. Not to change, but to better clarify and to even broaden it. The vision is not limited to a building. This is only a means and not an end. We cannot allow ourselves to identify our existence and purpose in a mere building. We cannot, we will not become trapped to maintenance and lose sight of ministry. The key here is simply this: these things ought ye to have done, and not leave the other undone. We certainly must service the debt owed. The balance at present is scheduled to be paid off within the next 6 years. This must be done, but we must also finish what we started and continue the other phases. All of this can and must be accomplished, but not at the expense of halting our efforts in ministry. We don't stop the work of the church just to do church work. These things ought ye to have done. It is not one or the other, but both. I'm challenging us to pledge and support the building project with a consistent monthly gift so that the monies generated in our various meetings can continue to allow for ministry. Now that's the vision. The Eastern District, an association of churches on mission, fulfilling our stated purposes and objectives, having as our headquarters the encampment grounds and youth retreat facilities in Jackson County. Recommendations. I recommend that the Constitution be amended to reflect that the Eastern District Association become a general association. This in lieu of the fact that we now cover 6 cities: Dickinson, Edna, Galveston, San Antonio, and Victoria, and 5 counties: Galveston, Jackson, Harris, Bath, and Victoria. I think this well constitutes a general association in both definition and function. I further recommend that the Executive Board work out any other necessary details. Now let me explain. District suggests a locale. It suggests a geographical boundary. But God is so good. We outgrew that. We used to run from Galveston to Houston to San Antonio. But we got some other territory to cover. And who knows how far it may go. That's my recommendation. Now, I've got some more. That's the first one. Number 2, I recommend that the Constitution be amended to provide for an executive secretary. The executive secretary would be responsible for the supervision of the secretarial staff as well as the operating of the finance office. I further recommend that Pastor Howard Anderson serve in this capacity. Number 3, I recommend that the Constitution be amended to provide for an assistant treasurer. I further recommend that Deacon Odine Jones of the Mount Sinai Church serve in this capacity. I recommend that the Congress adopt the rules and regulations of the National Congress concerning all youth competitive activities, and that they be distributed annually, no later than the February board. Number 5, I recommend that the Constitution be amended to provide for a historian, and that the historian be authorized to prepare a printed history for public distribution. Touch your neighbor and say, tighten your seatbelt. Number 6, I recommend that we adopt the village of Kenyase, Ghana as our foreign mission objective. Number 7, I recommend that we foster an annual foreign mission offering on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, requesting each member of every association church to give 10 cents per year of the association's existence, or $12.80 for this year. All funds should be sent to the Secretary Treasurer of the Foreign Mission Board and a report published in the Star's newsletter. Number 8, I recommend that an official journal reflecting the minutes of all our annual meetings be prepared annually. Number 9, I recommend that the Memorial Day picnic become a part of our official calendar of activities scheduled for the Saturday before Memorial Day. I further recommend that the moderator be privileged to appoint a coordinator annually. Number 10, I recommend that Pastor Lemuel Stinson and the following ladies be added to the Hall of the Faithful, and that their portraits be placed in the building upon completion. The ladies are Sister T.J. Maydale Calhoun, Sister J.L. Alpha-Dale Gaston, Sister J.I. Willie Mae Jackson, and Sister J.F. Lola Mae Sargent. Number 11, I recommend that we sponsor an association-wide mass youth musical. Details to be worked out by our executive youth director, the new one. The proceeds to be divided between the James Nathaniel Byrd Memorial Scholarship Fund and the vision. Finally, I recommend that the moderator be empowered to formulate a committee on reaching for excellence, a core group. The group will have 3 subcommittees: professionalism, led by Vice Moderator Young; service, led by Vice Moderator Flakes; and access by Moderator Tillmon. The core group, along with the subcommittees, will pave the way for our association to enter into the new millennium. We need to look at who we are, what we do, and how we can do it better. Now, word from the Lord. Let me back up. You have raised to this point that's just in this session. That's not including what you do monthly. Now let's turn the corner and close. Numbers chapter 14, verses 22 through 24. Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness have not hearkened to my voice, surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him and hath followed me fully. Him will I bring into the land whereunto he went, and his seed shall possess it. Is there a Caleb in the house? Have you ever seen yourself in the life of a biblical character, either for something that you are, or perhaps something you wish you were, or maybe yet still something you do? Most of us would love to have the musical inclination of David, or perhaps the wisdom of Solomon, some the strength of Samson, the beauty of Esther, or the integrity of Ruth. Unfortunately, most of us seem to identify more readily with the suffering of Job, or perhaps the agony of some other biblical character. We can and often do see ourselves in the lives of Bible characters. But who would have considered Caleb? No book bears his name. He is never considered as a national leader. He more than likely would not make even your top 10 list. Yet he is immortalized in Scripture because he possessed a different spirit. Idea being that Caleb had a different attitude, yea, a different disposition. In total contrast to perhaps all others, save Joshua, Caleb had a different spirit. Don't understand that to think Caleb had the Holy Spirit, or it's a little less. Caleb had a different disposition within himself, to the extent that God says, I will destroy all of them, but my servant Caleb, because he has had a different spirit with him and has followed me fully. You see, the problem with the music of David, the wisdom of Solomon, or even the strength of Samson is that they are all gifts from God. And we can never impress God with a gift. You might make me shout. Earl Stinson will sing and he'll make my toes get happy, but it doesn't impress God because it's a gift from God. You might make me shout because Melville White can tickle the eyebrow, but it doesn't impress God because it's a gift from God. But if you want to move God, if you want to excite God, let him see in you a different spirit. For man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. Caleb had a different spirit. Caleb had a different attitude. Caleb had a different disposition. He offered something back to God, and God took notice of it. First of all, Caleb possessed the spirit of a peacemaker. It's found in Numbers chapter 13, the 8th portion of the 30th verse. The book says, Caleb stilled the people before Moses. You need to understand that they had gone in to spy the land. And they were trying to bring back their report. And before they could even assemble the congregation so that the fact-finding committee could make their report, there was already rather grumbling going on in the camp, to the extent that King stood up before the congregation, and the book says he stilled the people. Is it not wonderful that in the midst of confusion and chaos, God has a Caleb? While others would stir up a spirit of strife, Caleb stilled the people. Caleb, the level-head. Caleb, the peacemaker. Not easily upset. Not easily stirred. Not easily riled up. Caleb stilled the people. How we more than ever need some Caleb. Involved but not caught up. It was Jesus, you know, who said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. If I were going to call on a Caleb in here, I think I'd call J.A. Wren and A.S. Johnson. Because when folk want to get beside themselves, they can steal the people. Caleb stilled, get it now, he stilled, not stirred. The setting is that they were bringing forth the report of the fact-finding committee. They were sent out for one purpose, but tried to serve another. I'll preach that some other time. Now, even before the meeting opens, the grumblers have started their thing. Sound familiar to anybody? Doomsayers at their best. Stirrers instead of stealers. Isn't it amazing how contagious negativity is? With all that God is constantly doing, there is always a group of negative folk. Perhaps it is because they are so shallow in their thinking. Picture, if you will, a massive hurricane raging over yonder ocean. On the surface of the sea, the violent waves whip the water into giant waves and create a scene of havoc and chaos. Yet a mere 25 feet below the surface, the waters are clear and calm. The fish there go on living their lives, totally unaware of the thunderous tumult just above them. Why? Because where there is death, there is peace. Some folk are shaken by every little wind, and their roots are easily disturbed. But if you would be a Caleb, you gotta have some deep roots. The Christian life requires some deep roots, because folk will say some of anything. It was strange to me that all 12 men saw the same sight and yet brought back conflicting reports. But Caleb, because he had with him a different spirit, still, I wish I had somebody, the people. It appears to me his faith was anchored in God. He had faith in God and not just faith in faith. Caleb was a peacemaker in that he possessed a different spirit. But not only was Caleb one that possessed the spirit of a peacemaker, Caleb possessed the spirit of an encourager. The B portion of that same verse, Caleb is recorded as having said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. So he uses the terminology, let up. It's something, my brothers and sisters, about togetherness that makes the job easier. Caleb was a team player. When you talk about team, you talk about together, everyone achieves more. Cooperation makes much possible. It was cooperation that made Pentecost possible. Acts 2 and 1 declare, and when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. What if it had been in our day when 120 gathered in the upper room? The record would be something like this. This meeting was called for the first day of the week, but so many things interfered that the company of 120 or only 40 could be present. Peter and his wife had bought a cottage on Lake Galilee and were away from the hot city over the weekend. But Bartholomew had guests, and of course he could not come. Philip and his family had been up late the night before and overslept. Andrew had a business conference about a new fishing boat. James stayed and cut the grass which had grown up long. Result, no Pentecost. But Caleb said, let up. We need and we must do away with our Lone Ranger mentality. It's all about us. It's a us thing. Caleb the peacemaker became Caleb the encourager. I hear him saying, I'm not worried about what I saw in the rain, because we need to go up. And I'm just crazy enough to believe Caleb had a sneak preview on what Paul told the church at Corinth. For we are laborers together with God. And I believe when Caleb said, let up, God was in the number. And there's somebody in the room who knows if God be for us, he's more than the world against us. It was Coach Brian who had the simple philosophy. When I asked how he was such a successful coach, he said he always told his players, if something bad happened, he did. If something semi-good happened, we did. But if something spectacular happened, they did. And that's how he won football games. It was all about motivating and encouraging somebody else. And I want to know, is there anybody in the room who don't mind playing second fiddle? Because you understand, Caleb didn't say, follow me. He stilled the people. And in Moses' behalf, said, let us. Somebody don't hear what I'm saying. He said, I may not be in the forefront, but I've been looking at some stuff in the land. And let us go up at once. God told us it had milk and honey. And Caleb said, I'm a witness that we need go up at once and possess the land. For we are well able. But as I close, not only was it Caleb the peacemaker, and not only the grasshopper, that when he looked at Caleb, he saw a different spirit. And I'm getting ready to quit now, but I want you to know he was a conqueror. It took 45 years later, but it's recorded in the book of Joshua, around chapter 14. You get a little time, read verse 6 down through verse 12, and somewhere in there an old man revisits the promised land, and I hear him saying, look here, Joshua, maybe these other young whippersnappers don't remember what God has done. For you know, everybody 20 years of age and older died in the wilderness. But me and you remember 45 years ago when we came and spied out this land. I didn't tell you then, but I'll tell you now. I've been had my eye on a mountain, and I heard an old man say, give me this mountain. He was a conqueror. He had the spirit of a conqueror. Am I right about it? He was still faithful in the service of God. And I heard him say, give me this mountain. That's what I told West Point 13 years ago. Give me this mountain. And I need you to understand the mountain that he looked at was later named Hebron. And I would to God I would preach enough to remind you about Hebron. You remember Hebron. It was a city in the hill country of Judah, about 19 miles south of Jerusalem and about 15 miles west of the Dead Sea. You still don't remember. It was originally named Kirchachaba, after Abraham and Lot separated. It is where Abraham moved. It is said to be the place where Abraham buried Sarah and was later buried himself. Samson put the gates of Gaza on a hill outside Hebron. I know you remember Hebron. It is the place that David used for his